John Mateer climbing the Heisman odds rankings. We'll discuss that coming up next year on Locked On Sooners.
You are Locked On Sooners, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma Sooners. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Once again, thanks for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there. Tune in and subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We're going to talk standout players from Oklahoma's win against Michigan, aside from John Mateer, because we're going to talk John Mateer right now. Over at FanDuel, John Mateer has climbed up to the number 2 odds to win the Heisman Trophy at this point in the season. He's plus 1,000. Only behind Garrett Nussmeier. Garrett Nussmeier
the other day.
Yeah, Garrett. And he's tied with Miami's Carson Beck among the Heisman odds leaderboards over at FanDuel. Just behind them, Dante Moore at Oregon at plus 1,100. Arch Manning's dropped down now to plus 1,300. Just in front of Gunnar Stockton at plus 1,400, Lenore Sellers plus 1,800, and several other players.
I'm kind of curious as to why Lenore Sellers is so low, but we'll have to talk about that another day. I feel like he should be a lot higher, even though, I guess his performance wasn't just that unreal in the first 2 games of the season, but that just feels kind of low for him. But
he just hasn't had a moment yet, you know?
Yeah, that's true. And that's kind of where John Mateer comes in. We talk about this Heisman campaign. You all are wondering, why are we gassing John Mateer only after the second game? Guys, he did that on national television, 344 yards against a Michigan defense that's infamous for being really good. This is the first time Michigan has given up over 400 yards in a game since Oregon last year. Like, this is not a team that does this very often. Now, granted, they had a lot of missing pieces over some parts. Their big-time linebacker, Barham, came back from the second half, and he was getting a lot of tackles, but he was still a non-factor. Oklahoma still moving the ball and doing the things that they needed to do. That 8-minute drive at the end, John, was everything we dreamed of. I got a little emotional, man. I was, excuse me, wipe my eye real quick. I
got one of those digital picture frames, and I just condensed that 8.5-minute drive into a video, and I just hung that on my wall. So
yeah, just let it run. My
wife's not too pleased about it, but it's just, it's art. Like, that is art, and it's art. Go up front and center right next to the kids' pictures.
Yep, it's art, but sports. That's exactly what it is. Shout out to the guy that does that channel, that account. But that's exactly what you're hoping for out of Oklahoma, John. That's what you want from this team. And I say this about John Mateer's Heisman campaign. Why it's beginning is you're seeing him all over the national media right now. Todd McShay's talking about him, Joel Klatt, Josh Pate. You're seeing them all over ESPN. You're seeing them all over Fox. You're seeing them everywhere. CBS Sports has got all these features on them. You had Marty and McGee. Marty came out and did an interview with him before the Michigan game. My point is, the one big thing about the Heisman Trophy is really about the story. Who has the most compelling story on top of doing something you probably have never seen before? And John Mateer is not doing something you've never seen before, but he's probably going to put up some of the best stats in the country. That now, just start preparing yourself. You're going to start hearing his name everywhere. On3, John. Let me tell you what On3 has. They post up their Week 3 Heisman poll. Number 1 on that list, John Mateer. Thomas Castiglionis is right behind him with Garrett Nussmeier at 3. Devin Dampier, Utah, is 4. Carson Beck, 5. Lenore Sellers, 6. Caleb Downs is 7. Dante Moore, 8. Ruben Bain is 9. Edge, that's really weird. And Jonah Coleman up there at Washington is 10. And then Pete Nakos follows up with Castiglionis as his number 1, with Mateer number 2, and Lenore Sellers number 3. It's becoming a talk.
Yeah.
Brace yourself. You're going to hear more of it for the next... After Auburn, depending on how he plays in that game, you might hear it for the rest of the season.
If Oklahoma continues to win and John Mateer plays well, he'll continue to sit in the top of the Heisman odds. Oklahoma doesn't have to go 10-2, 11-1 for Mateer to get serious Heisman consideration.
Nope.
He's going to put up numbers. Oklahoma's going to be in some tight ball games that are going to give him the opportunity to have Heisman moments. And against a schedule that we just talked about is one of the toughest in college football, with 8 more ranked opponents potentially, that's going to give him the opportunity to continue to solidify that resume. 392 yards passing in week 1 against Illinois State, and then 344 total yards in week 2 against Michigan. He's got 7 total touchdowns, on pace right now for 42 total touchdowns in a 12-game season, which is crazy to me. But if he just goes and keeps winning and keeps putting up numbers, he'll be in the discussion, and he'll be part of the conversation, and he'll find himself in New York. Now, whether he wins it all or not, that remains to be seen. Yep. But he's going to have a very solid case all year long because Oklahoma's putting the weight of the world on his shoulders, and so far he's responded well. And this may not be the best Michigan team that they've had in the last few years, but it's still a really solid Michigan team, and he did everything he needed him to do.
And I made 5 last year.
And I don't necessarily think that the defenses that Oklahoma will face the rest of the season are so significantly better than Michigan that his numbers will have a significant drop off. Will he have 344 total yards every week? Probably not. But I certainly can envision a 250 to 300 total yards on a regular basis with multiple total touchdowns, 2 to 3 total touchdowns every week. And that's going to put him in the conversation.
Yeah, I think that he does average at least 300 yards per game by himself going forward. It just feels like that's what's probably going to happen. They may find a way to try to get big plays going against Temple. Heck, you already got stuff on tape. Just go ahead and just sling it out there and let some big plays happen. Get Michael Hawkins out there, let him or Whit Neubauer, let him get out there and let them sling it to everybody else as well. My expectations is that John Mateer this is going to be a game where you're going to additionally add stat padding numbers onto it. But the good thing for us is that we've seen him do it against a really good defense, and we're going to see him do it again. Look, Auburn gave up 417 yards to Sawyer Robertson. If you don't think John Mateer is better than Sawyer, I just have no reason to even have a conversation with you about sports. I'll just say that out loud. He's going to go out there, John. He's going to probably put up those numbers. I really do believe John Mateer, and I think it's warranted. I think he deserves the conversation to happen after the numbers he put up last year, for him to come back in 2 games, lead the conference in passing yards, and do what he's doing. Yeah, we everybody else has had the opportunity to play cupcakes, John. Everybody else has. They've had opportunity to stat pad and everything. Heck, Joey Aguilar and them, they were throwing up 70-something or whatnot against East Tennessee. John Mateer still leads the conference in yards.
Yeah, 270 yards passing against a good Michigan defense, 74 yards rushing on 19 carries, 3 total touchdowns. He had a Heisman-like performance in week 2. Now it's just a matter of continuing to build on that, go have a great game against Auburn, have a really good game against Texas, and then that final 7 games of the season or 6 games of the season, a lot of it is going to depend on how this team plays and how John Mateer plays. But as we saw on Saturday night, they've got a defense that's going to play winning football. They've got an offense that's good enough to go score points against pretty much anybody.
Yep.
It's a matter of taking care of the mistakes, erasing some of those things, and making the plays when you got to make the plays. They did so on Saturday night. Who made those plays? Who are some of the standout players? We'll discuss that coming up next here on Locked On Sooners.